First of all, federal prosecutors say 59 people have been investigated in these schemes so far. Americans at large stole tens of billions of forms of aid during the pandemic all over the country. Minnesota's fraud scandal stands out, according to federal auditors. What are you hearing from investigators right now?
Well, I've been following the cases closely as they've gone through the courts, and we know that there are more indictments possibly coming. I think that number might go up to 73 is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, you know, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
Now, obviously, whatever the ethnic group, the actions of a few dozen should not impugn an entire community of thousands of people.
Yeah, it shouldn't impugn thousands unless those thousands were committing the crimes. How do you think they build the federal government for autism care? Did they create the children out of thin air, or did the Somali community participate in the fraud? Dear Lord Almighty, welcome to my show, JG Carrell's show. That woman is unbelievable. But why did I could have chosen thousands of videos to talk about. This story is not going away. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's more people being sucked in, more politicians, more NGOs. And I'm watching this woman, Ilhan Omar, who is vile. I've never seen her in an interview like that. Never. I have never seen her so docile. I have never seen her so lacking energy. She is always on the offensive. Always. What's going on? If I had to guess, I think the cuffs are getting tighter and tighter and tighter on her. When he asked a question, tell me about the fraud, she's sitting there and she almost swallows hard and says, well, I think there's 73. Okay, 73, but it's the way she said it. Is she going to be the 74th? Is that what she's thinking? Is she the 100th? She has a little time. I think she's going to be implicated. Tim Walz is absolutely implicated. Either he got kickbacks and votes or money or both. So it's going to come out. Ilhan Omar, oh, that's a whole other story. She and her people are vile. They're garbage, to quote President Trump. And he's right. Now I'm going to show you a video here a little bit. This is already, the Somali virus has already coursed its way into Maine. Maine has the same issues. Minneapolis, if I told you in the 80s, hey, Minneapolis, which is Norwegian stock, blonde hair, blue eyes, Vikings, in less than 30 years, we're going to have Minneapolis poured into third world retarded Somalians. And all of your representatives are either going to be Somalians or they're going to be beta males scared to death, like Mayor Fry, that speaks in that gutter language. You would think I'm crazy. But President Obama dumped hundreds of thousands of Somalians in North Dakota, Maine, and Minnesota. And then when he dumped them in there, then they voted in their own people. They voted in their city council. They voted in their mayor. They voted in congresswoman. The only reason that other piece of garbage didn't win the mayor is because those idiot Somalians have tribal warfare and the other tribe wouldn't vote for them. What in God's name has happened to America. Look, my title of this show is America is the world's largest crime scene. And it just hit me today when I was preparing for this show and I had to come up with a title. I was like, before I came up with the title, I'm thinking, there's crime is rampant. It's everywhere. It's violent crime like sex and rapes and armed robberies and assaults. There's immense white-collar crime, insider trading, politicians cutting deals, treason. And then there is voter fraud. Then there is that legal versus illegal immigration in America is destroying it. And I was like, dear God, America is a crime scene. America is a crime scene. Our national color should be black and yellow. We are a nation that is lawless. We are a nation that has no law and order. We are a chaotic, lawless nation. It's frightening. As we talked about yesterday, this resentment, this anger, this outright being pissed off, it is now spread and is spreading like a wildfire. Americans have had it. Like it's not, well, I'm kind of angry. No, they're pissed off. From little girls that are teenagers with their little pigtails and braces to gentlemen like myself and everyone in between. Every color, every race, every sex, ethnicity, religious belief, they're all feeling the same. Or the Christians are. Why did we bring in a Muslim country that is one of the poorest? It is one of the dumbest. They have a average IQ that is at the retarded level. I was on a podcast the other night, and I said this out loud. I said, well, they're retarded. They're at the IQ level of retardation. And the host kind of bristled at it and was like, well, that's a harsh word. I go, no, that's a medical term. You can call it whatever you want. It's like transgender. We're applauding transgender. There was a medical term for that stupidity and insanity. It was a medical condition, said that you had a mental illness. I'm not going to play your games, what makes you feel good when we speak. That's the problem. We don't speak in common terms, meaning we have no idea what our language even means. It's been so bastardized, so watered down. What the hell is a Nazi? Oh, we can't say people that are handicapped. It has to be disabled. We can't say this. Oh, they're gay. Why can't I say what I want? What we all used to speak the same language, and that's how you create chaos. That's how you control a narrative. That's how you tell people you can't say that. Well, yes, I can say that. The Middle East is filled with a massive amount of retarded people. I'm not saying that flippantly, like Tim Walz is retarded, which probably he is, but I'm not saying it like that, like a slander. I'm saying this as a fact, not mine. You go look at the UN data. Like the UN is going to ever be aligned with J.J. Carrell, or I'm going to be aligned with the UN. Look at what they say. Then people start splitting hairs. And I had a gentleman that I did a podcast with, black gentleman, really nice. And I have to use the race because it plays into the narrative, the stereotype that the left forces us to talk about. Meaning, only white people talk about this. Only a racist would talk about this. No. I was just on a podcast with two men of color. Actually, I was on a podcast with 4 other men of color, and I was the sole honky. I don't care. 2 of the guys are my friends. 2 of them I just met on the podcast. Highly intelligent, very outside the box thinkers. Loved it. I had a 45-minute conversation. Loved it. Wish I could have stayed another 45 minutes. But this black gentleman says to me, well, you're absolutely right. That is true. But I want you to understand that the baseline for retardation in IQ is really 85. And then he goes on to explain to me the reason why they the power, the medical institutions and the politicians, why they dropped it to 70, because the 85 was catching too many minorities. So too many minorities in America were being labeled retarded. So they changed it. They changed it to 70. The African nations, the Middle Eastern nations, the Muslim nations can't even get to the 70 mark. Do you understand what I'm saying? 70 is retarded. That means that's the average. So that means there's people with 85, 90 IQ, and there are people in the 40s. Like they can't even function because they inbreed. It's completely incestuous. They're marrying their first cousins. They're having sex. I just went and spent Thanksgiving, as multiple people did this last week. That means my son would marry his first cousins. What in God's name is going on? Try to walk into the Carrell household and try to sell that piece of crap. Honestly, think about, you're having Thanksgiving dinner and some relative, your brother, sister, whatever, says, hey, you know what, Johnny and Sally, they're going to get married. Excuse me? Yeah, they're dating, they're going to get, okay, time. They're first cousins, you jackass. How did you allow this to happen? There would be a brawl. There would be a brawl. The police would have to be called. There would have to be psychologists called. It would be a plethora of stuff. But no, in the Middle Eastern countries that are run by Muslims, this is what is normal. We have turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, some stuffing, have a little wine, soda, apple pie, maybe some key lime pie, and we're all fat and happy on Thanksgiving. No, that's not good enough. You have to have sex and marry, or not marry, and just have sex and have babies with your first cousins. That's the tradition that Somalis are bringing here. As Ilhan Omar has said repeatedly, we have been a fabric of American society. No, sweetheart, you just got to our shores in about 1990s. How did you have a say in anything that's happened into our country? In fact, after we've given you everything off our backs, the shirts off our backs, given you money, you steal from us. You're a vile, garbage group of people. And I love that Donald Trump calls it that, because we need to get back to common terms. They're garbage. Ilhan Omar's garbage. I showed you the video. You don't have to be a guy in law enforcement that interviewed people and did this for a living. You can just be an average Joe and look at that and go, that's not right. She's not on her game at all. Why? Like, I have been tired before I go on a show. I've been tired. Like, I'm going to give a speech tonight in Missouri. A little tired. But when you start going, you get amped up. You go, okay, I'm going live. Even if I'm tired, okay, snap out of it. Let's get focused for, the 5-minute segment or 15-minute segment or a 45-minute speech. Let's get my A game. Let's get me going. She's always on her A game. She's not a dummy. She's one of the non-retarded ones. She's the one who uses the retarded people to her benefit. So for Ilhan Omar to stand there and given softball questions that she can't answer with any kind of energy, that tells me that she is scared to death. And I watched this happen 2 days ago. We played on the show where she got not accosted, but she got spoken to by Laura Loomer's reporter and asked basically the same questions about her marrying her brother and that how Donald Trump called her garbage. And she didn't have a response. She was very reserved, very, very, very civil, almost to the point of resignation. I believe she knows the walls are falling down around her. And she's next. She's next. Donald Trump already said, I want her denaturalized and kicked the hell out of our country. I second that, sir. Get her ass out. Now, watch this video of is pretty amazing how he articulates this about the Somali scammers and the Somalis and Ilhan Omar. Watch this.
Obviously, he's got a lot of egg on his face. It's a big scandal. But I'll tell you, I'm watching the clip of Ilhan Omar. This is somebody that fled this, terrible country, no rights, and then she comes to the United States and uses our freedoms to try to make us more like the country she fled. How the hell does that make any sense? And why did we, over many decades as a government, obviously, not me or current Trump administration, but what had happened to bring in so many people who really don't necessarily want to assimilate? And I think some of these candidates who run there talk about they're not America first, but Somali first. So it's really a failure of the elites in this country with how they've handled immigration, particularly by putting Americans last.
Well, they say it's racist if you say that all these Somalis stole $1 billion.
Yeah, the race card is what they're trying to do to evade accountability. They'll say you're racist. They'll say you're, quote, Islamophobic. If you question why some of these folks have no interest in assimilating into American society. And I think people, particularly in Republican side and the conservative side, I think we're beyond where they can just sling the race card out and people should be scared of that. That's what they'll do. That's their default. But I don't think people are buying it anymore.
No, we're not buying it anymore. I have bought it for decades. Being a big white guy from the South, being in the Border Patrol wearing the green and arresting brown people, as they tell me, call me racist. I would sit there and I'd be like, okay, why am I a racist? Well, you're a white guy from the South. Okay, no, I'm not from the South, you morons. I was born in Massachusetts. Is there a more liberal, disgusting place than Massachusetts as far as ideology? Come on. But I find it highly racist, if you will, to just label somebody racist because you don't like my beliefs. Look, I'm not talking about the skin color of Somalis. I don't give a crap. They are retarded, and they're thieves, and they care about Somalia first and Somalia always. I'm all for that. I'm all for that with you back in Somalia. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that we hear about how great their countries are? Mexico is the greatest place in the world. They fly their flag. Somalia is the greatest in the world. We love Somalia, Somalian flag. And then when it's time to be deported, it's like, how dare you send me back to those places? It's amazing. Okay, stop, hold on. I thought Mexico was the greatest place in the world. Yeah, I don't want to go back. Don't make me go. Well, Somalia is great. I mean, it's all deserty, desert with some water, and there's nothing, just dust flying around. Why couldn't you just be appreciative and have some gratitude here in America? Could you try that? Could you try a little gratitude instead of calling us racist and vile names as you're taking my money? I mean, they did. Look at the Somalians in Minnesota, the state. 88% crime, Somalians. 80+%, almost 90% of them are on welfare. We talked about the retarded issue. That's pretty prevalent. The amount of fraud is not just contained in several dozen, as that reporter was saying. No, it's closer to 100. And then they had to have tens of thousands of willing participants in the fraud. What is thus the entire Somali population? I want them all gone. I don't care if you came to me and said, well, JJ, there's 10% good. I don't care. I don't care. How are they going to assimilate? They haven't assimilated. If you go and if you do an interview, I had one yesterday, they get a play, where a guy named Army Horowitz, who is a street reporter, goes and asks tons of Somalis in Minnesota, where's your allegiance? Well, it's Somalia. Why are they not removed? Like right now. C-130s running nonstop. I don't need them to have seatbelts. Throw all their asses in the C-130, jam them in there like sardines, fly them in, land, and push them out into the desert. They're not our problem. They're not our problem. Watch Border Patrol's going door to door now. Door to door in Minnesota. People have no idea. There's not enough Border Patrol agents. Nick, before you play number 3, let me just make sure. I got to say this out loud, okay? This proves my theory for a very, very long time in law enforcement. You don't have to have people everywhere all the time. Well, should we? Yes. Do we? No, because we don't prioritize public safety anymore. It's just all the police are bad. But if you are consistent and you police consistently in neighborhoods and you're doing drive-arounds and you're there in the community and you flood that community with law enforcement, all the crime stops. Isn't it amazing? If we do it for like 2 or 3 weeks, why don't we do it for 52 weeks? And why don't we do it year after year after year? Why don't we have massive amounts of police that are bored? That's the goal. In law enforcement, that is the goal, to be completely bored. But we're not. We're completely exhausted. Go ahead and play number 3. It's just a short video talking about door to door in Minnesota.
Yeah, Bill, good morning to you. Federal agents are now on the ground in the Twin Cities, focusing on the Somali community and anyone who is in the country illegally. We know they have been stopping some folks out on the street asking for their IDs, also going door to door looking for specific individuals. All of this, as you mentioned, comes after those massive fraud schemes in Minnesota that involved mostly folks from the Somali community, fraudulently charging the state more than $1 billion for social services that were never performed. When Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who's become the face of the Somali community in Minnesota, was asked why the fraud got so out of control, she said this.
I think what happened is that...
You can stop it right there, Nick, because we saw what she said with her dirty little night rag on her head. Why don't you assimilate, sweetheart? Women in America don't wear that on their head. Assimilate. That means become American. We don't wear head garbs unless it's a hat. You want to put a Yankees hat on or a Minnesota Twins hat or a Vikings hat? Have at it, sweetheart. Let's rock and roll. But get your dirty little rag off your head. We're tired of looking at it. We're tired of listening to you too. All 35 pounds of you talking about how bad white men are, and yet, lo and behold, you marry a white man. I've understood that you were married to a Somali before and then married to your Somali brother prior to the white man, but you eventually got to the racist white man. Good job. And I love how you come to America with quote $0, and now you're worth about 20 million. Funny how that happened in like 8 years. Amazing, right? Unbelievable. You tell me she didn't get money kicked back? You're going to tell me that? I love when everyone blames everything on insider trading. Insider trading is horrible, but you can't get 2,000, 4,000% returns every year in order to get to millions of dollars. It's just impossible. But you sure as hell can get hundreds of thousands of dollars kicked back, $1 million, $2 million kicked back, or funnel through your husband's business. Oh, absolutely, you can do that, become a millionaire. America is the world's largest crime scene, period. But you have to ask yourself, why are all these Somalis there? Why are there all these Somalis in Maine? Why are there all these illegal Mexicans all up and down the southwest border and in Chicago? Why do we have 50 million illegal aliens in our country? Why do we have 55 million legal immigrants on visas, overstaying their visas, and having babies and voting in America? Well, there's the answer. Because they're voting and they're having babies. Listen to Joe Rogan as he is having these epiphanies, as he begins to understand about what they did in Little Mogadishu. Play this, please, Nick.
That just happened a couple of days ago.
Find it.
Yeah, I'll find it.
I'll check on Twitter.
Illegal.
I have to say, I find it very hard to believe.
Me too, but not, because I think that what I was getting at is a lot of the reason for wanting an open border is congressional seats. Because one of the things about when you do a census, it doesn't count how many people are citizens, it counts how many people. And so you can get extra congressional seats if you have more illegal immigrants in your city, and you have much more political power that way.
But why do you get more seats if they can't vote?
It's just how it works. It's just how it's the way our census is set up. So the way a census is set up, it's just counting people. It's not counting people that are legally here.
The census. Okay.
Yes. So the census is how they dictate the amount of congressional seats.
Here's what was going around Twitter.
Okay, Minnesota elections confirms non-citizens can vote with driver's licenses. October 14, 25. This is it. State hearing, Minnesota Director Elections Paul Linnell testified that non-citizens holding driver's licenses under the 2023 Driver's Licenses for All law can register to vote and cast ballots by affirming eligibility, as the ID verifies identity but not citizenship. Secretary of State Steve Simone.
They're voting. And whenever you hear any politician or someone like that lady who's grossly ignorant saying, I just can't believe they're voting, there's no way. Sweetheart, bless your little soul. Sweetheart, they're voting. They're voting by the millions. Let me tell you how this plays out during Joe Biden's term. Okay. You come across the border, Catholic Charities, Lutheran Family Services, Jewish Family Services, IS, etc., get you in a hotel or a detention facility. And then I sit there as a social worker through an NGO. I sign you up for everything. Every welfare benefit, every Social Security, through Social Security, everything. And then what do I do as well? Because the voter rolls, I sign you up to vote. Then you disappear. And where does the ballots come? Well, they come to the NGOs. And now the NGOs have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of mail-in ballots. Do you see how this works? If you're not in this last 4 years of an invasion, you just go to the DMV in California and you get an ID, a driver's license, which automatically allows you to vote, registers you to vote. And in California, they're forbidden to ask you for an ID. I lived in California. I asked people, here's my ID. Nope, we're not allowed to ask it. I don't care. Here's my ID, I'm voting. How many illegal aliens voted? I used to vote in California and absolutely know with 100% certainty that my vote was already nullified. Absolutely nullified. Ilhan Omar should never be a congresswoman. There shouldn't be 80 to 90,000 Somalis in Minnesota. And if you think it's just in Minnesota, you're a fool. Nick, play this next clip, and this is Somalians in Maine. If you just play, I don't know, go ahead, just play a good minute or so, please.
American Abdullah Ali, who came to the U.S. from Somalia in 2009. You're looking at, obviously, the man on my right who had discovered this story. He became a U.S. citizen, started a nonprofit to help immigrants, started several businesses, including a multi-million-dollar migrant care service agency. And in 2024, he ran for president as he raised money to bankroll a militia in Somalia. Yes, you heard that right. A U.S. citizen who, according to the Maine Wire, gave an interview with Kenyan media in which he said he raised money in the U.S. to buy weapons, munitions, and supplies for paramilitary force he had hoped to lead as the president of Jubaland. Yes, that is a real state in Somalia. He was running for president in Somalia. Of course, he lost the election.
He ran for president of Somalia while in America. Like that gentleman's guest was going to say, if I let it continue, but because of time, he's going to say that he stole millions upon millions upon millions. And there are people now calling literally on social media, X and TikTok, begging President Trump, please come to Maine. They have destroyed our state. They're ripping us off millions and millions of dollars, these Somalis. When are we going to say we've had enough? Honestly, when are we going to say, okay, shut the door, no one else is coming into our country, period. Period. We have the right to have sovereignty. Don't let anybody ever tell you anything differently. We have a right to be sovereign in this nation. Do we want legal immigrants? Hell yeah, we do. But they're going to benefit America. Do you know, just as a side note, when you go and look at Medicare, EBT SNAP, Section 8, do you know that the Americans are in the very low percentage that are receiving those benefits, and the vast majority of all benefits go to legal and illegal immigrants? Did you know that? Did you know that if you're a legal immigrant, you are forbidden to be a public charge? Public charge is getting Section 8 housing, any kind of food stamps, any kind of homelessness, any kind of medical care that you can't afford. You immediately become deportable. You're supposed to deport that person under the Immigration Nationality Act. What have we done? We've opened up we've brought in millions, tens of millions of people that are all on welfare. Go try that in Japan. Go ahead, just take your family. Fly to Japan and say, hey, you Japanese, I need a place to stay. I need about $4,000 a month in food and entertainment. I like some cash assistance. My family, my wife's pregnant, so she's going to need medical attention. My other son has autism. Is there some kind of payment system that I get for having autism? Then my third child, they're special needs. So not only do I need his English a second language, I need some kind of other tutor. Go ahead and make it happen, Japan. You think that's going to happen? Honestly, even if you're a stupid liberal, do you really think that's going to happen? If Japan doesn't have to do it, and Iran doesn't have to do it, and China and Russia, why are we doing it? Because we're part of the Great Reset. We're part of bringing down the greatest power the world has ever seen. In order to do that, and when that happens, the Great Reset can be fulfilled. That's just the truth. Not my words, theirs. I'm going to show Nick, when you pull up number 6, don't play it just yet. I need to set it up. This is, I have it written down on my notes. Look at what happens when we allow foreigners and illegals into positions of authority and power. They rule over us. So Ilhan Omar fraudulently obtained through multiple fraudulent statements to become a refugee and then naturalized citizen. And she votes for Somalians. Jalapal votes for Indians. And this piece of human garbage, to quote President Trump, her name is Delia Ramirez. Well, I have a special place in my heart for Delia Ramirez. She's an illegal alien. She's a congresswoman from Illinois. And I have a special place in my heart for this. She's lost a little weight. She's a fat Guatemalan because she was in my congressional testimony and she slandered me. She misrepresented some ex post as if it was mine. And then she just called me all kind of vile names. But at the end of her tirade about me and how white nationalist I am and how horrible racist I am, she made a very important declaration because she got very emotional. And women, men too, but particularly women that I've realized in interviewing and interrogating criminal women, when they get emotional, they say things that they would never, ever, ever say because their emotion overrides their critical thinking. And what did she say in my congressional testimony over a year ago? She said, I'm almost going to quote her, when my mother crossed the border illegally from Guatemala, she was pregnant with me. And if you understand the Constitution as it was written, not as it was kind of half-assed determined in 1980s, she is not a citizen of the United States of America. You call her whatever you want, but she's an illegal alien sitting in the halls of Congress. She's married to an illegal alien. They call him a dreamer, but a dreamer is a very, very kind word to describe an illegal alien. So where do you think this woman's allegiance is? I will tell you before I play this, because earlier this year, she was in a Latino, Hispanic, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, conference down in DF, Mexico. And what did she say down in DF in front of thousands of people? She said, quote, "I am a proud Guatemalan first, before I'm a proud American." Why wasn't she stripped of every assignment and perp walked out of the Congress? Because our congressmen are stupid, they're gutless, and they are some of the dumbest people in our society. Listen to this piece of crap talk about DHS and call all of us racist. An illegal alien from Guatemala is a congresswoman making $175,000 a year talking about how bad we are.
The American people's anger and tolerance of DHS violations of our rights, that's what's the result of DHS unlawful, unaccountable, unconstitutional actions, which put the American people and our liberties at risk every day. Let me be very clear. The Department of Homeland Security, you can quote me on that, is the single biggest threat to public safety right now.
No, sweetheart. You and your Guatemalan heritage is the greatest threat. And you need to go. Like right now. Best way for you to support me is to go to my website or to my Substack, jjcarrell.com, jjcarrell.substack.com. We're growing. This platform is growing rapidly. Strangely, I'm getting censored everywhere, but I'm not really getting censored that hard at YouTube. I hate to even say that out loud, but we're growing leaps and bounds. So I appreciate the sponsorships. I appreciate going and being a subscriber to my website and to my Substack. When you go to YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Make it impossible. Make it impossible for the social media companies to hold people like me back. I'm not a conservative. I don't even know what the hell that means. I'm an America only guy. Only. I don't care about anyone else at all. America only. Go to jjcarrell.com, my website, very proud of it, great website, or go to my Substack, jjcarrell.substack.com. And the other way you can help is support the companies that promote on my show. And one of those is mypillow.com, mypillow.com. In fact, mypillow.com is so great is because Mike Lindell is running for governor of Minnesota because his company is in Minnesota. My Pillow's made in America by Americans. American hands make it. I use this product. If I have 10, I have 20 pillows. I have all the sheets, slippers, I have all that. I use this product and I love it. MyPillow.com, use promo code JJ. MyPillow.com, promo code JJ. I know Christmas is coming around. Get the slippers, get the new sheets, get the pillows, everything you need. I have my house stocked with this. Honestly, it's insane. MyPillow.com, promo code JJ. Well, I get to bring in a guest that I really like every week. Once a week, I bring him in. And he is Chris from SAT123. Chris from SAT123. Chris, please tell me, is it cold in Colorado as it is in Kansas City?
Yeah, you'll be pleased to hear, mate. There's about 6 inches of snow on the ground. We are freezing.
That makes me happy. It makes me happy that you're more cold than I am and have more snow. I was out shoveling. We got about, I want to say, Chris, we got about 3 inches, and we just it's melting now, which is good. I love the snow, but after a day, it's just a sloppy mess, and it's horrible. It's just horrible. But I'm glad to hear that you're colder than me, and it is a little colder there, I think, than it is in Kansas. But yeah, it's gonna. I just don't want it to be a long winter like it was last year. Last year was a long winter here in Kansas. Was it that way in Colorado, or did it warm up quicker?
Yeah, we got pretty freezing for about a month actually.
Oh.
Last January and into February was that was a cold one.
Oh.
So hopefully we won't be there again, but you never know. But no problem.
You can always escape to your beach paradise that you did last year. Oh man, I need to do that too. Get to the sun, and there's nothing better than the vitamin D. Well, Chris, every week I have you on because your company is a proud sponsor, and I love having your company on our show at sat123.com. And I call it the company that you use to be prepared for things that you don't want to have happen to you, but you know the probability of it. It's going to happen, so you need to be prepared. And I just want to show you a video that I found last night, I think it was, when I was preparing for today's show. And it was Marjorie Taylor Greene on the House of Congress. And she's talking about it, grabbed me, because she started speaking about the numbers of cyber attacks, the attacks on our infrastructure, how many government instruments are attacked daily and annually. And it was shocking to me. So I want to play you this video of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Just get your response as somebody that is in a company that is preparing Americans for these type of attacks and these type of situations in America. So let's play this just for a minute, please.
The average cost of a data breach in the U.S. amounts to $9.36 million, almost double that of the global average. As you, Mr. Montgomery, testified, the FBI received reports of $12.5 billion in cybercrime losses in the United States in 2023, an increase of nearly 20% over 2022, which is definitely alarming. Ransomware attacks rose 74% from 2022 to 2023. Cyber attacks on critical infrastructure globally increased 30% in 2023. 1 in 3 Americans, and this is shocking, were affected by healthcare data breaches last year. Government agencies were the 3rd most targeted sector from ransomware attacks in 2023, and there are roughly 500,000 vacant cybersecurity jobs in the United States, Mr. Chairman. That is a serious issue. Most cyber attacks fall into a never-ending pattern. A threat actor, often sponsored by a nation state, exploits vulnerabilities in the system. They exfiltrate sensitive data or encrypt it for ransom. Then there is an investigation into how it happened, who was involved, and what measures should be taken to prevent it from happening again. And then it happens again, and the cycle repeats, and we're all in a very serious dilemma.
So, Chris, when you hear nation states are attacking our infrastructure, is that true? Do you believe what she's saying? And then if so, what do you offer? What does your company offer for us to be prepared?
Well, I mean, yeah, she's absolutely correct. This is not only is she correct, but they don't even try and hide it. A lot of these countries like China, they have tens of thousands of people working on doing nothing but this, and they're not alone. Iran, North Korea, Russia, just to name a few. And then, of course, you have many terrorist organizations around the world trying to do us harm. And this is a growing problem. And of course, with the rise of AI, it's only getting easier for these criminals to attack us. They can do it faster, quicker, and they can create viruses that can not only break into networks and systems, but then evolve once they're in there to do even more damage. So yeah, this is pretty horrifying. I'm very glad she brought this up, and it needs to be something we're talking about a lot more. As we've talked about before, mate, in Spain, the entire country was taken offline by what Spanish authorities said was, just an issue or problem with misdirecting electricity. Honestly, personally, I don't buy it. I think that was just another example of a sophisticated cyber attack. taken over a utility. You know, I don't have any proof, but look, what we get in proof every day is these kind of attacks going on everywhere, all over the world, from water supply systems to air traffic control, telecommunications, and so on. You know, what we can do to be prepared is we can have independent communications, number one, and independent electricity supply, number two. The way to do that is very simple. At sat123.com. We still give out free satellite phones with activation, free Starlink units with activation, and we have some heavily discounted, incredible solar-powered portable generators that can power anything from your handheld gadgets all the way up to units that can constantly power your house, including air conditioning, lighting, and so on, day in and day out through solar power. And so these two things are vital. JJ, you know, being in law enforcement, that one, first of all, not everywhere is covered by communications to begin with. Only 7 or 8% of this country on a good day is covered by cell phone service. So, you know, this is something that a satellite phone can fix for you, because if you're going out hunting, hiking, fishing on a good day, you're still not going to have cell phone service in those areas. And if you run into trouble, that sat phone is the best way to get help. But look, it's the same thing. We all rely on the internet and data for literally everything we do. We'd all be lost without it. So don't be without it with a Starlink unit. But finally, and I think most importantly, if you don't have power, you can't recharge any of these things, and nothing's going to work. And the power grid, unfortunately, is very vulnerable. It's old. It is not built for what's coming with this massive power increase in demand from data centers. We need to address that. I know President Trump's Genesis mission sets out to do just that, giving the Department of Energy control over, you know, modernizing the power grid, and that's a great step. But we are vulnerable in that regard. So independent power communications, these are very, very important things, mate.
I agree, and Donald Trump has said that. He just said that 2 days ago when and I think it was missed by quite a few people, Chris. He says we have to rebuild America. And when you hear that, I don't know why most people didn't gravitate or jump on that, because that's a big statement. It's not like, hey, we need to do improvements on our infrastructure. No, we need to rebuild our infrastructure in our country. And that is one thing that we're vulnerable about. We're vulnerable on our infrastructure. Our infrastructure is outdated. It's not proper. And Donald Trump, you're right, is trying to do something about it. But there's this point where we are extremely vulnerable. So I believe strongly in your product, your company, everything you need, because it prepares us. Because Chris, is going to happen. You and I are joking about the snow. Man, the snow comes in, the wire, the lines go down. You have nothing. You're just stuck. And what is it? Look at Texas a couple years back. Days, like literally days with nothing.
Yeah, weeks.
Weeks at times. Yeah, it's. I mean, look at North Carolina. Look at Maui. I mean, you could say those are man-made, or you could say those are natural disasters. Whatever you want to say they are, it doesn't matter to the person sitting there that has nothing. They have no connectability. They have no power. That has to be a sick, horrible feeling. So that's why I really am proud to be a partner with Sat123. So everybody go to sat123.com/JJ. Chris, I hope it blizzards you, man. I hope all the snow God wants to put in Kansas, he shifts to Colorado. Just push it up, man. Push it up. So stay warm, my friend. Stay warm. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, Chris. Chris from sat123.com. sat123.com/JJ. I love Chris. Chris is just one of those guys that you just talk to and you feel better. Because I know we talk about some dark things and hard things. We talk about reality. I mean, let's just stop playing games. We just talk about reality. And Chris brings just to me like a shot of humanity. Like, okay, there's one of the good guys on the planet. It's obvious, you can see Chris is a good guy. And I need that. I need it. I need that. I need Kim Yater's shot of absolute optimism. Needed in these dark times. Because America is a crime scene. America is a crime scene right now. You know, Nick, can we go to, I want to talk about this. I'm going to go to number 7, if you don't mind. Nick, I'm going to start it out. Let me just tee this up. I'm going to show you a clip of Stephen Miller, who if you've been on my show, followed my show, you know is someone that I respect a great deal. Respect this guy. This guy was one of the leaders against illegal immigration for decades. Like in high school, he was getting harassed by Univision, Telemundo, all the activist group hated this guy in high school as a teenager. And they hate him because he knows exactly the problem. And he's talking about right now about the Democrats siding with the narco smugglers. You have Democrats and Rand Paul, who's basically a Democrat, complaining that we're not giving the narco smugglers due process. They're good people. Oh, they're so good. Look, you're listening to a guy right now talking to you that did the job. I created and then ran a task force called the Coastal Border Enforcement Team, CBET, on the coast. And this is what I did for 5 solid years. Midnight shift, working the coastlines from San Diego to Santa Barbara every single night, taking down narco smuggling boats. These people would cut your head off with the machete they have there on their boat and laugh about it. So spare me. Listen to Stephen Miller as he just speaks truth after truth after truth.
This is the first time I can ever think where a major political party has sided with narco trafficking, murdering, terrorist scum. You know, you play one of those clips from a Democrat who said, oh, there's no such thing as a narco terrorist. They're just narco persons. The ISIS and these narco terrorists in our hemisphere use the same tactics. They use rape as a weapon. They skin people alive. They cut off their heads. They burn them to death. These narco terrorists, if a politician opposes them, they kidnap their family. If they don't give them what they want, they murder their family. You can go to the Border Patrol here in the United States and you can say, draw me a map of the border, and on the Mexican side, tell me which cartel controls every inch of territory. And the border agents can literally say, mile by mile, which cartel controls which section of the border. Not the Mexican government. They don't control it. Which cartel? When President Trump declared these organizations foreign terrorist organizations, that wasn't just a talking point. That wasn't just a buzzword. It was a promise from this president to use hard American power to kill and to stop these terrorists, these enemies of the United States, from killing our families, from killing our children, from taking over our communities. And that's what President Trump is doing.
Amen, brother. And you're absolutely right. No one wants to talk about this, but Mexico, the nation, is a narco state. The narcos and the human smugglers own the border, own it. They determine how much narcotics, how many people, how many children, how many everything comes across the border. They own it. The Mexican government it's a body that functions. The narcos run everything. Now, Stephen Miller was talking about these Democrats that actually said, oh, they're narco people. And you laugh because you think that's absurd, right? I mean, he's just making fun of them. No. I'm going to show you a video next. This jackass, his name is Jack Reed, Senator, Democrat, of course. He's the ranking member. Listen to me. He's the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee. I want you to listen to 2 things. First, listen to this guy. Is he either high or does he have dementia? And number 2, I want you to listen to his excuse for the narco terrorist. Go ahead and play this. This is unbelievable.
You know, one of the factors that drives youth in the United States is demand. And most narco traffickers are not in those boats. They pay people to do that. And usually people who are not significantly involved with narco trading, it's the way they make money. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the factors...
Okay, that's the number 1. Could you get a shot? Can you go down the hall to McConnell's office and they'll give you a cocktail to shoot it up? They call it the Biden. Give me the Biden. look, I'm 90 years old. Just give me the Biden, and then I can start talking faster. Then that idiot, I can't believe these people aren't in control. That idiot says, well, those aren't really the narco smugglers, even though they're the narco smugglers. They're not really the narco traffickers, and yet they're trafficking narcotics. Well, they're just making a living. Oh, well, why didn't you tell me? I could have saved 5 years of my life working the beaches, the coastline of the Pacific coast from San Diego to Santa Barbara, all the way up to San Francisco once or twice. I could have just saved all that because they're just trying to earn a living. Damn it, if I would have known that, I wouldn't have arrested thousands of people doing this. I can't believe I didn't know that. I didn't know that those are just good, hardworking people. God, I swear to you, please, God, give me discernment. Because there are days I think, am I the crazy one? Like, maybe I'm the guy that's in the Twilight Zone. Maybe I'm the one that doesn't understand what the hell's going on. But then I snap back and I go, well, of course I did this. I did this job. Those boats, just so my audience is clear, those boats that were getting blown up on those pictures, those boats, because we didn't have a president that had any balls, they would ram the boats onto the shoreline. And then those 7, 10, 12,000 pounds of narcotics would be muled off with 20 or 30 of, we call them mules. They were gang members from LA that would come and mule the narcotics off the beach, up the hillside or through the flatland into a waiting RV, box truck, whatever, and then they'd all drive away. I did this for my whole life. I did this for 5 years. I wasn't good at it. I was great at it. Like I was great at it. My team was great. We had over 150 of these narco boats we took down. At one point at the end of my 5 years, we weren't arresting anyone. Why? Because there were no boats. There were no boats. Why? Because the Sinaloa drug cartel knew that CBET was going to intersect their boats and we were going to take them down. And we did at 100% ratio. 100%. Nothing was getting by. Nothing, ever. Now they do. Or under Biden they did, and now Trump's trying to stop it. But that jackass, Jack Reed, the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee, who is absolutely in his last probably 3% of his life, is trying to convince you that Donald Trump's the bad guy because these people smuggling the narcotics, they're just trying to earn a living. I've had conversations, obviously, with the boat captains. I've thrown the boat captains off of their own boats into the dark, cold Pacific Ocean. I got into fistfights with these guys. I slammed them into the beachheads and walls. I know exactly who these guys are, and they are savages, absolutely stone cold savages. A lot of them were actually drug addicts shooting up outside on the water before they came in. Horrific people. Let me tell you another thing about these people. Those people that are trying to earn a living, when they're smuggling people, do you know when they go 100 miles out to sea? Do you know how far 100 miles out to sea is? Like, you ain't seeing nothing, people. There ain't nothing to see but water. And their boats break down. They have sat phones, and they call, and they would come and rescue the smugglers, and they would leave the illegals on the boats to be found by Coast Guard or to perish and drown. Those are the people that are just trying to earn a living. I swear to you, there are days where I think nothing's going to get better. Nothing's going to get better unless there is a massive, massive annihilation of the system. I really do. The stupidity, the incompetence, and coupled with the corruption, the mass amount of money corruption in our federal government and even state and local is so debilitating. I don't know how we recover. I just don't. Just like I talked to Chris with SAT 123, you need to be prepared. As Donald Trump said, America is at a tipping point, and we can go bad, or we can go good. We are at that space and time in history. Buckle up, America.